This is the Cliff Yates Show. Personal growth, motivation, inspiration, and philosophies for a great life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. As always, you are in the right place. And today, we're going to talk about nature, water therapy, things in nature that are really great for us mentally and physically. And specifically, as in the title, we're talking about basically your water therapy, negative ions. What are they? Where are they? How can we use them? How do we already use them? And if you're like me, you've probably always known that. If you're like me, you've probably always known to a certain extent that we feel great or greater when we're either in and or around water. And so I thought, why not delve a little bit deeper into the science behind this and what the reasons are that we do feel so great when we've been in and or around water. And so I was going through my Primal Health Coach Institute classes, and they've kind of dealt with this a little bit, and then I delved a little bit deeper. And so it went into the benefits of nature and what they call earthing, which I had never heard about, but I was talking to a friend on the golf course, and I mentioned negative ions and how they're good for you, and being around water gets you exposed to these negative ions, which is going to affect you in a positive way, mentally and physically. And he goes, oh yeah, it's like earthing. And I just read about this because I delved a little deeper, and he was correct. Earthing is something that has to do with being around nature, getting negative ions, but also getting really in touch, having bare feet on the sand, bare feet on grass, or walking in the woods and or around trees. Even just looking at trees or woods can cause these benefits to happen for us. And so I have something here I printed out. So let me go into a more exact definition of what negative ions are, really. And you know what they are? They're a molecule or a particle that have an extra electron, which creates a negative charge, and that's what affects our body. And on the opposite end of that is free radicals, which can wreak havoc in our body and around our cells, and they are missing an electron, so they're searching for those particles and molecules where they can steal an electron. So that's why being around negative forces, away from negative ions, are creating and having too many free radicals, either from food or our environment, that's going to wreak havoc with our health, mentally and physically. Negative ions are beneficial for our well-being because they have a positive impact on our physical and mental health. They are molecules that have gained an extra electron, creating a negative charge. When we are exposed to negative ions, they can help to balance the positive ions in our environment, which are often generated by electronic devices and pollution. So being around electronic devices, these lights, this laptop, this camera, they are positive ions that are not good, but we can balance those out with negative ions, which I can do by going for a walk on the beach today. I'm going to counteract this podcast for you, whatever bad it does. But I'm trying to provide you with some good stuff. Waterfalls, ocean waves, and rain showers are natural sources of negative ions. When water molecules collide, they can release negative ions into the air. Spending time near these natural water sources can help us absorb negative ions and experience their benefits. Earthing, also known as grounding, is the practice of connecting with the Earth's natural energy by walking barefoot on the ground or using grounding mats. Never heard of that. It is believed that direct contact with the Earth's surface allows us to absorb negative ions and electrons, which can have a positive effect on our health. While the scientific evidence on the benefits of earthing is still emerging, many people report feeling more relaxed, balanced, and grounded after practicing it. In summary, negative ions from water and nature can have a positive impact on our well-being by improving our mood, reducing stress, and purifying the air. Earthing is a practice that allows us to connect with the Earth's energy and potentially absorb negative ions and electrons, promoting a sense of balance and well-being. And while I've been back here at the beach, I've been trying to go on more walks on the beach, barefoot on the sand, because now I'm getting that I'm by these crashing waves and the mist in the air and feeling the sand on my bare feet. I'm getting those negative ions counteracting these positive ions that I'm getting from mechanical devices, lights, computers, those things that create the positive ions, which can wreak havoc on our internal system, mental and physical. And I was thinking back how I said this earlier, what negative ions are. I was thinking, did I misspeak on what they were? Particles or molecules, they have an extra electron, creating a negative charge. And that's why they are good for us. We want to be getting those negative ions whenever we can, and we get them in and around nature, specifically around water. That's why even, you take a nice shower, it refreshes you, you feel greater. Part of it is because you get clean, but another part of it is because you're getting all these negative ions that you're breathing in and you're absorbing because you're around the crashing water of the shower. There's other studies on this, right? Water provides a restorative break. Just floating in the water produces a calming feeling by activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for stimulating rest and digestion when the body is at rest. When you float, you reduce your body weight by nearly 90%, a therapeutic benefit to your joints and muscles. So you're floating in the water, you get all those benefits, plus you're taking all that weight off of your joints and muscles, probably allowing them to realign better. And it says it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what it was, so I had to look it up. The parasympathetic nervous system is a network of nerves that relaxes your body after periods of stress or danger. It also helps run life-sustaining processes like digestion during times when you feel safe and relaxed. So being around the water, getting those negative ions relaxes your body to allow the body to do what it should be doing to maintain health. Here's something a little different. Your parasympathetic nervous system is part of your autonomic nervous system. It could be called your automatic nervous system, as it's responsible for many functions that you don't have to think about to control. This can include control of your heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, urination, and sweating, among other functions. The parasympathetic part of your autonomic nervous system balances your sympathetic nervous system, while your sympathetic nervous system controls your body's fight or flight response. Your parasympathetic nervous system helps to control your body's response during times of rest. So it helps your body respond and do the things it's supposed to do to maintain health while you're at a state of rest, relaxation, calmness, which is what being around the water does, because you're around those negative ions, and we got to get more today. I know I'm going to. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have a couple fly-in slides here that I'm going to bring in. So this is from Science 101. Ions are molecules that have gained or lost an electrical charge. They are created in nature as air molecules break apart due to sunlight, radiation, and moving air and water. You may have experienced the power of negative ions when you last set foot on the beach or walked beneath a waterfall. While part of the euphoria is simply being around these wondrous settings and away from the normal pressures of home and work, the air circulating in the mountains and the beach is said to contain tens of thousands of negative ions, much more than the average home or office building, which contain dozens or hundreds, and many register a flat 0. The action of the pounding surf creates negative air ions, and we also see it immediately after spring thunderstorms when people report lightened moods, says ion researcher Michael Terman, PhD of Columbia University in New York. Got another article here that's from Brulinda Nazaro, MD. Boost your mood. Get a whiff of negative ions. That's what we're talking about today. Getting negative ions from her article, May 6, 2002. There's something in the air, and while it may not be love, but it could be, some say it's the next best thing, negative ions. Negative ions are odorless, tasteless, and invisible molecules that we inhale in abundance in certain environments. Think of mountains, waterfalls, and beaches. Once they reach our bloodstream, negative ions are believed to produce biochemical reactions that increase levels of the mood chemical serotonin, helping to alleviate depression, relieve stress, and boost our daytime energy. And these are a few of the reasons we see negative ion generators being sold in stores and all over the internet. But do they really work as well as antidepressants? Can they also relieve allergies by filtering out dust, mites, and dander? And the evidence says that they do. Yeah, here's some more on negative ions. Atoms are molecules in which the number of electrons is different from the number of protons. If an ion is positively charged, it has more protons than electrons. And if negatively charged, then it has more electrons than protons. This is a little different. Negative ions are tiny, highly reactive molecular fragments that energize your body at the cellular level. They help increase the flow of oxygen to the brain, resulting in higher alertness, decreased drowsiness, and more mental energy. I like it. There's an abundance of negative ions wherever air molecules are split by solar radiation, wind, or water. So negative ions are found in natural settings in far greater abundance than our positive ions. Spend time near a waterfall or a sunny, windy mountain area and inhale air enriched with tens of thousands of negative ions per cubic centimeter. By comparison, fresh air in the countryside might rate 4,000 per cubic centimeter. A high-traffic urban area might contain less than 100 per cubic centimeter. Get into nature. And a stagnant home or office might measure in the dozens or even zero. Your shower is another handy way to get an energizing dose of negative ions. So next time, sometimes just take a shower. And now you know why. You feel greater right after the shower. Not just because you're clean and you get rid of that dirt, but for other reasons. Negative ions. Plants also produce negative ions. That's why being in the forest, being in fields, it's great, especially when exposed to intense light during photosynthesis. Oh, that's when the plants give out the most negative ions. Positive ions, despite their positive descriptor, are positive ions. This is the other side, which I'm getting from my devices. Positive ions, despite their positive descriptor, are bad news. Positive ions collect in pollution and soot and recirculate in indoor air. So indoor air full of positive ions that we don't want. If you are in an enclosed space such as a car, train, office, or home, your air supply can become literally de-energized with positive ions predominating over negative ions. Positive ions have an adverse effect on your body. They trap and neutralize negative ions, robbing the air of its vitality and promoting fatigue and assorted health problems. Like electrical appliances such as computers and televisions also generate positive ions, as do high voltage power lines. Through the science, the Marine Corps is using the power of water therapy and negative ions because they have a program, they have a therapeutic surf program, because they have found scientifically that the meditative response of the brain and body in just floating in the water, waiting for the next great swell to go surfing on, those downtimes which kind of balance out the fight or flight processes of our brains, is rebalanced when we're out there floating on our surfboard waiting for the next wave. And so the Marine Corps is using that as surf therapy to help soldiers with post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD. They're using surf therapy, and the main flux of that is being around, in and around the water. And so even the military is taking advantage of this, and we can too, because you know what it costs to go out here on the beach, to walk in the woods, to be out in nature, to just take in a lot of fresh air. Zero. Your overhead is zero. Get it today. Get it now. It's great for you. I did, for several years, some stand-up comedy programs for the River Hospital in upstate New York, right on the St. Lawrence River, because I was helping raise money for the New York State Troopers, who had a program they were promoting, which was troopers supporting troops. And Fort Drum is a Army base, mounted division base up in Watertown, New York. And so these troopers were raising money for a program called Troopers Supporting Troops, where they would take military veterans and their active duty military suffering from PTSD out on fishing trips out on the St. Lawrence River, because getting in that relaxed state of fishing, the calmness that comes from fishing, right, and directing your thoughts in a positive way towards something else, concentrated away from those internal images, but also being around the water, floating in the boat, right? Ingesting, inhaling all those negative ions coming off the great St. Lawrence River, which much of it is going over miles and miles of granite bottom. And so the minerals in that water and the negative ions coming off the St. Lawrence River, I can imagine how great it is. So I was happy to be a part of that, but I really didn't understand how good that program was, and that it really tied into negative ions in water therapy. So I hope you learned a little bit today about water therapy, negative ions, and now I'm glad that I continuously put myself in an environment. Being here on the beach, I can walk along the beach, feel the sand, bare feet, taking in that air, and then when in the summertime, getting up on the island and getting around that water of the St. Lawrence River, which is just full of all those negative ions from the stone that the water is going over and the crashing waves that I'm around constantly. So I'm glad that I'm filling myself with those negative ions that I really never understood before. Why? I only understood that I felt great around water. And so if you felt that way, or now you are armed with this information, you can get yourself in and around water best you can. That's part of the reason why. See, you get a dual effect when you do those cold plunges, because when you immerse yourself abruptly in cold water, your body gets jolted into that fight or flight, and it actually dumps for a brief period of time cortisol, right, the stress hormone, into your system. And if you only do it for a brief period of time, because now your body activates your cells to get ready to fight off all the bad things, and then you don't go in it too long, then it's healthy for you. And then plus you're getting all the negative ions of being in water. So listen, this is why you guys are going to get so healthy, wealthy, and wise, because of all the information you're getting. I was glad that I was able to learn this and share it with you. As always, if you're listening and or watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on a podcast platform, hey, check out the YouTube channel. Check out, because I videotape all these sessions. And if not, subscribe to your podcast channel, The Cliff Yates Show. Listen, we're getting better and better every day in every way. You know I love you. See you on the next episode.